おはようございます。I think we are live. Let me check on my phone really quick. We are live. Okay, so what I'm going to do is share this. Today's live lesson. Hi. So I will also be watching for some comments from everyone. Ohayo gozaimasu. We are slowly starting to get back into the groove here, back at the church. For now, we're going to be broadcasting from the church classroom, and then we're also going to have Bible study here at the church as well. Everything will be broadcast online through Facebook, and the link will also be put on the WhatsApp group, so you can join. The link for the Zoom meeting will also be put out there as well. So we're kind of having a hybrid system, kind of live in classroom, kind of online. That's how we'll be doing it for now. I'm going to take my mask off because there's no one else in here except for Miki-san and me. All right, today is going to be a little different. I'm not going to be giving like the same type of presentation. Instead, I'm going to give you some words and I'm going to give you a special phrase, a key phrase today, and we're going to use them together. As you know, we're going through the Marugoto series, and the Marugoto series is very repetitive. So we're just repeating some of these things that we've learned many, many, many months ago. You probably know all these words. You probably know this phrase that I'm about to give you. Let's start with housing. I know last week we finished food. So let's start with housing this week. And I want to use a dark color so you can see. I wonder, can you see? Oh, yeah. Come on, there we go. Okay. I'm going to use blue here. Is that visible? I, e, right? In English, I and E. In Japanese, we pronounce this ie. Ie. Okay? And I have to get my tabs to stop moving here. Thank you. Ie. This is kind of up pitch. Ie. Ie. Right? This means a home or a house. Okay? So this is going to be, we could say home or house, doesn't matter. Ie. All right, I'm sure we all live in a ie house. Okay, ie. There's another way to say this. In some parts of Japan, you will hear ie, and in other parts of Japan, you might hear uchi, right? Uchi. Let's see if you guys can see it over here. Uchi. Yes, right? Uchi. This is the same thing. Home, house. I learned when I was first learning Japanese, I learned ie, so I tend to use this one more, and I think people in Tokyo tend to use ie more often, but either one is fine. Uchi, if you say uchi, people will understand you're talking about your house or your home. There is maybe a slight nuance in difference, a slight difference between these two, but they can be interchangeable. You can use them for different, and both in the same situations. It doesn't matter. Ie, uchi. And then let's talk about some kinds or types of ie or uchi. So actually, I'm going to keep these on the board. Let me rewrite it for you. I just want to make sure you can see it. So if I write it up here, I believe you guys can see it, right? So this is ie or uchi. Ie, uchi, meaning house or home, right? Home. And then we're going to talk about some different kinds of homes or places of living. The first one I want to talk about is apato. Apato. And I'm going to write it in with English lettering. because not all of us who are watching know any Japanese writing system. So let's just, for now, write it in the English Roman alphabet. Apato. Apato. What do you think that means? Apartment, right? Comes from the English word apartment. Apato. So I'm just going to write it here. Okay. The word apartment. And normally at this point in the class, I would ask, who lives in apato? Right? If you want, you can comment, sure, I live in apato. And if you can type it in Japanese, that's even better. Type in Japanese, apato, or watashi, right? Me, I live in apato. Watashi desu. Okay? In British English, we would call this a flat. Either one. Then we have this interesting word, ikkodate. 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 Oh yeah, zero. Date. Just one T. Ikkodate. Ikkodate. This is a like regular house. This is a stand-alone house. So I would just write maybe stand-alone house, right? This is a stand-alone house. This is your typical house in America, right? We would just say, oh, I live in a home or I live in a house, as opposed to an apartment or a complex, a duplex, a shack, right? This is a ikkodate, a standalone, whole, single house by itself, right? The image here is that it's not connected to any other building. It's its own separate building, its own thing, ikkodate, right? In Japan, right, maybe you, depending where you live, you might live in ikkodate, but many people, if you live in Tokyo or Kansai region, in the big city area, most people, well, not most, but maybe many people live in apato, right, apartments, okay? If you live in the countryside where there's just rice fields all around your house, ikkodate, most likely, right? A standalone house. And then we have mansion. Mansion. This mansion. Mansion. It sounds like the English word mansion, right? The English word mansion is like a really big, luxurious kind of house, many bedrooms, many bathrooms, etc., etc. This is not that, okay? Mansion is not a mansion in English, right? Mansion actually means something like a condo or a condominium, right? These are maybe a little fancier, maybe a little pricier apartments, a little more upscale apartments. And there's many floors, usually, maybe not many floors, but they could range anywhere from like 3 stories to 6 stories. If you go to the Tokyo area, maybe 15 stories, mansion. This is more of a condo type of feeling. And you might be wondering, why on earth is it called mansion? Why is it called mansion? Japanese people love taking English words and using them to sound cool or sound fancy or as a marketing strategy. And this is probably where the word mansion came from, right? This was probably a marketing strategy for someone who was trying to sell fancier apartments or condos in Japan. And maybe they like looked up the English word for a really fancy house, and they found mansion, and they just wrote it in Japanese, mansion, right? That tends to happen quite a lot, actually. So we have a few different ways to talk about homes, houses, apato, ikkodate, mansion. All right, which one do you live in? right? We have just a regular standalone house. You could also call it a home, right? Yeah, or uchi. We have an apartment and we have a condo. I'm trying to think of other maybe places where people live. I hate to say things like under a bridge, but if you're curious, I can give that to you. Again, feel free to comment on this live video. If you have questions, I will try to get to them if I notice them. If you want to know a particular word, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Okay? This video is being recorded, so you could always watch it later or go back later. We are studying this week housing. We're going to get into this lesson. I don't want to go too far. Right now we're going to do vocabulary. So I'm also going to give you a phrase that you can use with maybe these three words, right? These three words are different types, right? These are different types of ie, different types of homes, right? Different types of spaces where people live. So we're going to use these three types of spaces of living in a certain phrase. Let me see how far I can go. Wow, I can go all the way out here and you'll see it. Perfect. Blank ni sunde imasu. Okay. Can you see all that? Blank ni sundemasu. Blank ni sundeimasu. All right. In Japanese, this means I live or am living. I am living in a blank. Do we see that? I am living in blank, or I live in a blank. Let's use these three words. I live in an apartment. You would put apato here, right? I live in a standalone house. Ikkodate ni sundemasu, right? You would put ikkodate here. I live in a mansion or a condo, right? Manshon ni sundemasu. Okay? So just put whatever type of living structure you live in here, ni sundemasu, or sundeimasu. Sundeimasu. Okay? Ni in this case means in or at. Okay? I live in or at something. Sundeimasu, the verb sumu, sumimasu, means to live. When you attach imasu or mas, it's fine. Like this, like in this case, this is alright, just mas. With sunde imasu, it means currently. I am currently living in this thing. This is the key phrase this week, okay? If you are to remember anything from this lesson, remember this phrase. Blank ni sundemasu. Blank ni sundeimasu. I live in blank. So in my situation, my personal situation, I live in a home, just a regular standalone house. So I would say, ikkodate ni sundemasu. Ikkodate ni sundemasu. Now there are some things to notice here. This I is in parentheses, okay? You don't have to say it. You can say it if you want. You don't have to. I feel maybe if you're talking quickly and you're trying to get out all the information at a natural speed, at a natural pace, maybe some people will leave out I, right? And just say sundemasu, sundemasu, sundeimasu, right? Either way. Ikkodate ni sundeimasu. Manshon ni sundeimasu. Apato ni sundemasu. Okay? So either one. Saoru, do you live in a house, a condo, or an apartment?
House.
In a house, right? So can you say, I live in a house? 一戸建て
一戸建てに住んでいます。
住んでいます。
住んでいます。
Good, exactly. 一戸建てに住んでいます。That's where Saori Sensei lives. That's where I live in a standalone house. Miki-san, do you live in 一戸建てアパートに住んでいます。So Miki-san lives in an apartment. We won't give you the address, but she lives in an apartment. Okay? Don't find our address, please. All right? So we have the words for home, apartment, standalone house, condo. Miki-san, can you think of other places where we live in Japanese? In Japanese, 日本語で what are some 住まいとかいろんな山荘山荘 No, you probably don't live here. 別荘 Yeah, yeah. This is an interesting word. 別荘 別荘 means like a villa or like a summer home. Yeah. Like a summer home. That's a good word. Does anyone have 別荘? Do you have 別荘? Masa-san has 別荘. I believe it. Masa-san has 別荘. Okay. Other places. What is the word for a mansion? Ensho. Like an actual big house, mansion. Ensho じゃないですか? 忘れました We forgot the word for a mansion. なんか日本にあまりないですよね. There's not really many mansions in Japan, I imagine. How about 大邸宅? 邸宅? 邸宅? Yeah. If you want to say like a mansion, yeah. If you are a celebrity or a comedian, very popular person, maybe you live in 邸宅, which is like a mansion or a big house, like a fancy house, maybe. Yeah. There's a few places we could use. This is probably all that you need, right? Apartment, regular house, or a condo, maybe a summer home. I don't think anyone lives in a summer home, but goes to a summer home, probably, right? So this is the key phrase, に住んでいます. に住んでます. Let me give you some more words that we can use. Let's talk about 部屋, rooms. So I'm going to erase this. If you want to see these again, just rewind the video. It's recorded. Okay. All right. The word for room or a room, rooms in your house. 部屋. There's actually, when I was a high school teacher, and I showed my students this word, they started singing a song, a famous song. Do you know the song, Miki-san? It goes like this. Hey, ya. Hey, ya. I was like, oh, you guys are clever. So this is room or rooms. They're so funny. I miss my students. Heya. And there are many heya in one's house. The first kind of room area that we visit when we walk in a house is the genkan. Genkan, right? In English or in America, we don't really have this kind of area, genkan. We would call it an entryway, I guess. An entryway. An entryway. In Japan, every house has genkan. And a genkan is where you take your shoes off, your outside shoes, right? And you put on your inside slippers, maybe, or you just take your shoes off and you walk around in socks. I love that about Japan. No shoes inside your house. Actually, Saoru, is that true in South American countries too? Countries? No shoes, no shoes inside? And what? Oh, it's a bad habit if you keep it. Oh, okay. Bad habit. But in Japan, it's like a rule, right? No shoes inside the house. At the genkan. Okay? Sometimes there's little shoe boxes in the genkan. When I was in university and I lived in the dorms, they had little dorms, little rooms, very, very small for us. There was no kind of traditional genkan. Usually, genkan is like the level of your porch, and then there's a step onto the actual housing floor, and that's to help, I guess, keep dirt in or whatever. But when I lived in a dorm, they didn't have that kind of step. I just walked in and boom, my whole floor is the same level. But I had a little shoe box that I could take my shoes off and put my shoes in. Of course, I didn't use it, but it was there. That was at the genkan. Next is a very important word. We all should know this word. Right? Toilet. Toilet. This comes from the English toilet, right? In Britain, maybe they say the toilet. In America, we say the bathroom or the restroom. Bathroom. Toilet. Okay? That's another thing, a difference between Japan and America. Japanese houses tend to separate the bath from the toilet itself, or the shower from the toilet. You'll even see this in some hotels. The first time I was in Japan, in Hiroshima, I stayed in a hotel and it was all in one room. I was surprised. Oh, the toilet is next to the shower. This is interesting for Japan. In America, it's all together, right? If you want to talk about the actual bath or the bath room, the room with the bath, that is the ofuro. 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 Right? The bath or the bathroom. Okay, I'm just making sure everyone can see. I hope you guys can see this. I'm not sure how well it's showing up. So again, we have 部屋、玄関、トイレ、お風呂. Alright, so far. What about the word for kitchen? Another important room. Actually, there's two words for this. I'll give you the more Japanese word. 台所. 台所. You could also say kitchen. I believe that's the English way to spell it, kitchen, right? Yeah. These are both kitchen. 台所, kitchen. Okay, can you see? Yeah, you can. Excellent. Okay. Again, we're just going over some rooms, various rooms in our house. How about the word for living room? There's two words for this as well in Japanese. The more Japanese word, I guess, is ima. Ima. You could also say living, right? Living. Living. This is your living room. This is the common area in the home. This is living room. Ima. Living. Okay? Miki-san, I'm curious, do you say one more than the other? Do you say living more or ima more? Which one? Ima, living. どっちの方が使いますか? Oh, now she uses maybe this word more, but there's really no difference, right? Pretty much same meaning. Yeah. It depends on the person or your habit. Which one do you say more? You can say either one. 今、living. They both mean the same thing. Okay? So let's see, it is 10:40. I'm going to end maybe a little early so we could set up. But before I end, let us review very quickly. What are the three kind of spaces that I taught you where we can live, or what we call homes? Yeah. What are the three kinds of homes that we can live in, right? Apato, ikkodate, and mansion. Now, what is the phrase we can use to say, I live in blank? Do you remember? I live in blank. Blank ni sundemas. Or blank ni sundeimasu. Right? Either way. I live in an apartment. Apato ni sundemasu. I live in a standalone house. Ikkodate ni sundeimasu. That's our key phrase for today. What about these words? I've erased the English. Do you remember the English meaning for these words? We have heya. Heya is a room, right? Any room, rooms in your house. What is genkan? Genkan is the entryway, right, into your home. Genkan. This one's easy, toire. Toire is the bathroom, right? The restroom. What is ofuro? Ofuro. This is the bath, or the bathroom, right? The room with a bath inside of it. Ofuro. Daidokoro, or kitchen, right? This is the giveaway, right? Kitchen. These are the same meaning. Daidokoro or kitchen. That's kitchen in English, right? Kitchen. And finally, ima, living. What do these mean in English? Ima, living. Right? This is your living room. This is your common area where the family gets together. Living. Okay, so that I will conclude there with our house lesson. Again, we're just starting this kind of hybrid learning system. I wish I could see all of your faces here. Maybe in the coming weeks, as things die down, we will gather more together with social distancing and masking, of course. We want to keep everyone as safe as possible and feeling as safe as possible. So please bear with us as we make this slow transition. As always, everything is going to be on Zoom. The Bible study will be on Zoom. It'll be hopefully broadcast on Facebook as well. These lessons will continue, and we might start maybe an RSVP system to see who wants to come sign up for the lessons. Maybe keep your eyes peeled on the Facebook page as well as the WhatsApp group. Okay, we're continuing to pray for your safety. We're going to end here and then start setting up for the Bible study. There's a lot of setup we have to do. And if you guys just sit tight, watch the Facebook page. We're going to send out a Zoom link on the WhatsApp group so anyone can join if they want online. And we have some here that are masking up and social distancing, so we're doing this kind of hybrid system. Thank you guys for watching. I will hopefully see you in the Bible study and then next week as well. Stay safe. Bye-bye.